All right, folks, we're back at it today. Excuse me. Give you a quick update on some things. Working here in the shop on the 68 c-10 in bright white. So this week, got a lot of parts in, got a lot of stuff going on. Picked up some white primer because I'm painting the car white, bright white. So I go with white primer. Dark color cars, I generally go with gray, sometimes black. Light colored primer for light colored paint. Hey, I'm not teaching anything about paint because I'm not a paint guy. This is just how I paint things. So I've got the front headlight bezels, grill inserts primed up. I haven't found the paint I like yet for that. I'm looking at a metal gray, steel wheel gray. I don't know. I don't like that aluminum chrome stuff, that's for sure. I picked up some of these old, I don't know, hidden nuts, slip nut, they slip on, cage nut. I don't know what they call them things, but they picked those up at the hardware. They're about 65 cents. They're 5/16 coarse thread, 18, I think. Those are used for the fender and some other things I'll show you in a minute. Hopefully I'll get these painted by next week and we can fit up that grill and see how that looks. It'd be fun to see that. Other than that, I'm working on and we're going to talk about this later in the video, but let me tilt you down here. I'm working on this cowl here. Now, I got to tell you, I don't know if you can see me. I do this all the time. I like using original parts when I can, mainly because fit and finish. On this upper part, the windshield area is not critical, but you get up near the A pillar, and if those aren't stamped right, it just looks funny. And that's right where your eyes are looking when you walk up on a truck. The hood, windshield roof, doors, fender tops, and that A pillar fitment can look funny. The one on this truck's aftermarket, and it fits pretty good, but not perfect. And then it also fits the door jamb gap up on above the fender on both sides. So using an original part will just give you a better finish. But there's so much work involved, especially on this one, and I can show you why and what trucks and cars not to look for because of this issue. If you bought a new one, you just scuff it up, paint it, and you're done. Prime and paint it, whatever you choose. In this case, there's the original paint, and then it's been repainted, so it's also been reprimed and painted. So there's layers on it. The clear coat's not sticking real good, so I don't know what they did there. So I'm worried about where that might peel later, so I really have to get in it. I said later. That's not my fault. Sorry. So getting the nicks and the gouges and the screwdriver marks and the bent things out of this, I'm going to have, let's just say $50 an hour. I'm going to have 3 hours in this, $150. You probably buy a new one for about that. Is it worth it? You decide. Somebody just wants to slap one together, doesn't care about all that, and just wants to have a driver, it'd be great. Then you could sell this part for probably $100 because somebody wants an original, offsetting your price. So think about that when you build a car, or if you're building a car, or when you see somebody build a car. Those things are some of the things to consider. All right, let's move over and show you some other things I got real quick while I'm moving you around. I want to thank a couple of my new subscribers, Josh and Cody. Thank you for subscribing. Also, Savage Blades 360 for commenting last week. He watches the show quite a bit. Over here, I've got this part, right, this part here. This goes behind the grill, which I'll show you. That's all been coated both sides with that tar, and it's dry. You can touch it. It's not a big deal. But because it sits flat on the bottom of the cowl area there behind the grill, it gets a lot of debris that comes in from the front, from the tires in different areas. The dirt and stuff sits on it. So I wanted it really coated good. So I went with the tar on it. I think it's a way better way to go than paint for that. Again, that's a rough tar. It does dry to the touch. Over here, I'll spin you around and let you take a gander at the grill. So I got the grill done and painted and got it drying over here. Doesn't look like much right now. But over there where I was just showing you those inserts, they'll come in here and that'll be that steel aluminum. I mean, the original ones were aluminum. The hubcaps are aluminum, but they look like chrome. So they're a polished aluminum. And I want that look on here. If you buy the aluminum rattle can, it's shiny when you first buy it, within a month or two, it dulls right down, does not look good. So I'll find something that has a good clear coat on it or nice shine. We'll set those in and they'll match the headlight surrounds, bezels. I'll show you that more when I get that together, but that's coming along. And then the next thing I do after that cowl, well, probably the next thing, is work on this fender. So here we have the original fender. And the reason I know that is I can see, I can see the original paint here and on the backside here. That was that teal the truck started as. So I'm sure it's an original fender. The front's been redone by somebody else. It's workable. I don't love it, but they did a decent job. So I'll rework that. And then you see here in the back, we've got this issue. Now I hit this light with a flap disc just so you could see all the little pock marks and what have you in the rust. I was originally going to come straight off this line here with a cut and replace it. But I realized there's a spot weld down there and the metal's good. So I'm going to go with this shape. I have an old door that I have around, kept around. I'm going to take, it has a good dog leg, whatever you call this part, lower fender. So I'm going to attempt to unroll that, cut this same shape, and then put it on here properly. We're going to see how that goes. This isn't my forte. I'm not a body guy. You probably figured that out too. Of course, you already know I'm not a mechanic because that's apparent. Anyhow, there's a slight roll to this. I won't bother trying to show you, but somebody's tweaked that a little with something. So we'll have to fix the bend before we cut it apart and put the new piece on. Otherwise, when I hammer the new piece on, it's going to be bent as well. And knowing me, I'll probably attach it better than it originally was, so it would be hard to fix later. Anyway, we'll get to that. But today I'm focused on that cowl cover. I do want to touch real quick with you over here. Got so much stuff. On this stuff, down here, at any rate, I have a new oil pan for the 6 liter on a 68. And in the kit that Tom ordered, it came with the new GM style dipstick tube, the proper length pickup tube, which for the shorter pan, that's why we got this pan, because otherwise it hung too low and you'd hit it in this lowered truck. And it came with the windage tray. Well, it didn't come with that. It came with the windage tray, and surprisingly to me, all the hardware. So that was a pretty good kit. I'm impressed with that. So we'll be putting that in. That might be next week too. We'll see how next week goes. Well, I wanted to focus today on this cowl or cowl cover, we don't call it, and just kind of discuss some of the things, issues that you have doing these. The biggest thing I've run into, real quick, just because my brain's just bouncing around today. If I haven't mentioned your name when you joined, it's not because I ignored you. YouTube doesn't always inform me of everybody's name. Maybe your settings are in such a fashion that I can't see your name. So that would be the only reason that I didn't mention it. But thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching today. Appreciate you coming along. So what we got, somebody that really knew how to use a screwdriver. Boy, oh boy, did they know how. This was all chipped up. Somebody had bent under here with something, and this little drip tray rail here was all bent too. Heck. And it looked like they took the wipers off with a crowbar. It was just paint. They're riddled and broke and chipped around there. The top by the windshield, just lots of chips and scratches. I think they even painted over some dirt down in these things because the paint come right off. Back to what I said about trying to get your money's worth out of something and not pay somebody. So if you're paying somebody to do this, think about all these things. What I'm showing you real quick, I'll set it down, is I've kind of done this half. But if you can see right here, and I'll go from underneath, this paint around these vents it literally will just chip off of there. There's all kinds of pieces hanging, and you can't repaint that. It'd come right off on you. So what I'm doing, what I'm spending my time on, I'm going to move forward so I can work on it a little better. What I'm trying to focus on here is getting in all these nooks and crannies. Now, believe it or not, I've been working on this. And as soon as I turned the camera on, I lost my sandpaper. This is a little fine for right now. But you have to come in around these. You tuck your paper in both ways. You don't have to. This is how I do it. And then kind of go back and forth on those. Get them sanded in pretty good. You might go on one side one time to get a little more pressure on it. You got to sand the backs. But all them paint chips, I know you can't see them on camera, but if you were standing here, you'd definitely see them. All those paint chips in here have to be sanded off. Otherwise, your paint's going to stick to those flaky pieces, and then it's going to flake off. So there's quite a bit of time spent each one of these running through all the way down, sanding them all, getting glasses on so you can see. And then, of course, because I'm a rust freak, I will completely run my sandpaper inside each of these grooves, cleaning out any rust in there. It just takes time. I'm not sweating, but it takes time. Just massaging it, working it all over, getting a little bit of rust you can off everything. Because this is going to get undercoated. I'll probably actually paint this white under here. Just because whatever I spray, I don't want anybody to ever see looking through on it. So this will all be white. Again, that's the original color here. But lots of sanding, lots of playing in these little grooves. You can see here, this is the original. I don't know how to show you this stuff. This is the original truck, and you can see here the amount of rust in this area. It's not bad for, 50, 55 years, but you can see where if you drove this truck every day like Tom's planning on doing, there's a little bit. Got to get all them lips too. You wouldn't want this just to keep rusting and creep out on your white paint because you'll definitely see any little bit. But all that has to be cleaned up and done. So there's some time and effort put into it to make it nice. Now, if you were going to just drive this truck a few days in the summer and not be too concerned with, it rusting out because, I don't know, you only drove it on a nice days and it's just kind of your toy, you wouldn't have to spend the time I'm spending doing the fancy tar undercoat and painting the undersides of everything all the time because it would probably never rust out anyway. But that's what I'm going to focus on when I find the right sandpaper. This is 320. I'm a little early to be that fine. 220 at the least. I'd probably go with 80 just to get this rubbed down good. So there's my focal point. I've got one other thing to show you, and I'm not going to keep you this week. A long video for just horsing around. But I did have over here the hood latch is ready to be painted on this side. I already painted the other side. And the core support. No, it's not a core support. The center grill support anyway. I haven't been doing any muffler work just because I don't like welding. We've talked about that before when it's snowy out and I got the heat on. And then after we get the cowl done, the white fender reworked, we'll shoot this black fender. I might even do that on camera and show you how I do that. I probably shouldn't. I'll get comments. But this is how we're doing it. This is the goal that we're after on this particular project. Quality of work that we're looking forward to. And we'll get her. We're going to get her. A little bit. I see every time I walk around. It's a good thing to do. Take your time, walk around. I just see a little dent right there I hadn't seen before. That's going to need. Yep, see it showed up more, if you can see that. But as soon as I rubbed on it, that little dent filled with sandpaper dust. So on that, I'm going to work that right now and see if I can get it feathered in with the metal. Just run around, touch everything, keep sanding on it. Probably can't sand too much. And if you can, and if you do, put some more primer on it. Keep sanding. That's what it's about. Everybody loves sanding. You probably even really enjoy watching me sand. Yeah, maybe not. That's a quick update on this week at the shop. Next week, maybe we'll do some work together rather than just showing you this paint work and sand stuff I do. You don't want to hear my battery sander going, and you probably don't want to just see me rubbing on this with sandpaper. Oh, well, plenty yet to come. Actually, I'm gonna commit to that. Next week, we're gonna pull the motor back out of the 68. It was covered, so I won't bore you with showing you too much because, well, it's covered. Why wouldn't it be? We're going to get this garbage out of the way, get it moved again, get it uncovered. We're going to pull this motor back out, and we're going to put that oil pan in, maybe together. Maybe I'll take it out before I turn the camera on, but we'll kind of work those things through in the Wendy's tray. This one's got one in it, but I'm going to use the new one because it came with it. We've got sensors to move over and see about the oil pan gasket, because the one that came with the new one was wadded up in a mess, I guess. I didn't see it. Tom took it right out of there and said it was junk. These are reusable. They're the metal one with the rubber around it. If it's in perfect condition, we'll reuse it. But that'll be something we can do on our backs and upside down. I'll get some light in there and get this motor up on a crane. It'll be fun. It's going to be fun. It's all fun. So come back and see us again, and I'll try to push a little more next week, have more content. You guys can watch your wrench on something, maybe skin a knuckle or something that make you giggle. I don't know. But there's this week's update. Oh, keep your eyes peeled. I'll have more. That's it for this week. Thank you, everybody. Now I got to shut this thing off. And you know how much fun that always is. Let's do two. I'm gonna go with two. Here we go. 1, 2.